Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, April 5th, 2022. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Welcome, Frankie. You are number one. Welcome, Brina. You are number two. Okay, I am going to get started. Welcome, Power Girl. And you are my top three. Okay, so today, childhood nicknames. Childhood nicknames we give each other. So, what do you guys think of childhood nicknames? Welcome, King Ziller. What do you think of childhood nicknames? When you look back, Ziller, hold on, I'm just starting, and then I will let people in. Welcome, Blunt Ninja. Okay, so when you look back at your childhood and realize that the nicknames that you had for friends were, as one of my friends told me the other day, this is her term, widely rude. Okay. A friend told me she and her classmates called one boy Fat Phil his entire life. And they still call him Fat Phil. And so I asked that when we give our classmates or people in the neighborhood or even our own family members, when we give them nicknames that are not necessarily nice, I would like to know, how do you think it affects someone going into adulthood? Do you think that Fat Phil, and I asked my girlfriend, I said, so is he still heavy? And she says yes, but not as much as he was before. So, but you're still calling this guy fat. Now, in today's climate, we can say, you shouldn't say that, that's rude, whatever. But 20 years ago, it was rude. 50 years ago, it was rude. 100 years ago, it was rude. Um, how does a nickname like that affect you going into childhood? I mean, I'm sorry, going into adulthood. Do you think that it makes that person feel less about themselves? Do you think that that person would choose a different path in life than they otherwise would not have chosen had they had this name? Um, I was reading where someone called a kid, his nickname was Mini Arab, because he was Muslim, and as he got older, um, people would call him that, and some people would get physical with him, and it just got really, really mean and nasty. So, what do you do? All right. So, welcome, Karina, and welcome, Juju. So, on that, Ziller, if you would like to join us, you are more than welcome. If you would like to call in at this time, if not, okay, he has left the building. Okay. So, you know, okay, Brina says we call my classmate Fat Man in school. He slimmed out, but the name stuck. Never considered it may hurt his feelings. Okay, so Brina, let me ask you this: do you think he slimmed down because you guys were calling him Fat Man, or do you think that he was just slimmed down on his own? You know, I guess, do names have, you know, um, can names affect people in a different way? And when you call people those names, were you being a bully? You may not have been the bully who was, stealing someone's lunch money or beating them up, at after school or whatever. But when children assign people nicknames or other classmates nicknames, are you being a bully? Okay, Brian says, now that I'm older, I can see how it could. Okay, I'm assuming you're saying hurt feelings at the time was just something we did. You know, and that's the thing. I mean, we've all done it. I mean, I know when I was in school, there were people who we had names for. People called me railroad tracks because I had braces. I was called for four eyes, so I had glasses and I wore braces, and it just used to bug me. And I used to, yes, I would go home crying. They're calling me this, but these are things, and it toughened me up. But do we think of how it could lead to depression for some people? you know um we see them years later. um what do you do? When one of my friends found out what my topic was, she texted me today, and we grew up on the same block, and she was talking about some other people who were on the same block, and she says, yeah, I remember when so and so used to treat me and my sister, because she's a twin, used to treat me and my sister really really bad, and how she used to talk about me. And she said, I still think about that and it makes me angry. And we're talking 40 years later, that she thinks about this. And I remember that happening. I remember exactly who she was talking to, and that particular person, she was mean. So when you're an adult, you know how much does that stay with you? How much anger do you carry from childhood to adulthood? How much hurt do you carry from um, childhood to adulthood? And can that, you know will that somehow affect your own son or daughter, should you have them? Will it affect a relationship that you may have if you're, always called, fat man or fat Phil or, whatever? Um, if you were to meet a girl, are you always going to be worried, that you're heavy? Or if you're a girl and you were always called fat, whatever, and you finally meet this boy that you really like, are you going to be the one who is going to not eat because you're always trying to stay slim, because you want to impress this boy because he may think that you're fat? What do you do? You know, welcome, mate man. So, the things that we do and say to each other when we're children, it will affect you when you're an adult. Okay. Brina says, now that I'm a mom, I'm more conscious of these things. I got called thunder thighs or suburban because of my booty. I was super skinny with a big butt, and it made me feel self-conscious. Luckily, baggy clothes were in style. Okay. And Juju says, I would call a neighborhood kid four eyes. His mother hurt me. Oh, snap. I was 14 or 15. So, see, and I mean, what do you do? I mean, me as a parent, before, when my son was still going to a brick and mortar school, he was bullied, but I was that, I don't know if you all remember the movie The Hand That Rocks the Cradle with Rebecca De Mornay. I was the one who, if I say something to the parents and they don't listen, or the teacher, they don't listen, I'm the one pulling the little kid to the side and I'm like, you do that again, you're going to be dealing with me. You know, technically, I shouldn't have done it, but you know what? They didn't bully my kid anymore. You know, so again, I say, what do you do? So, does anybody want to come up here and have a chat with me? Anybody? Anybody? If not, I have some other questions I would like to ask. Let's see. It's good to have nicknames coming up. Yeah, depending upon what the nicknames are. Nicknames can be hurtful. And Brina says yes, you have to teach them to stick up for themselves. Sometimes it might get physical. We do nothing is fun to have nicknames and give other children nicknames. Yes, as long as they're not mean. I mean, some nicknames can be very very mean, and I don't see I don't see any benefit from calling someone a name that isn't nice, especially if you know that it hurts that person's feelings. And if you go out of your way to give someone a nickname that would purposely hurt someone's feelings, then to me you're a bully. And Mateman says that it doesn't matter. Well, I mean, it doesn't define who you are, just a phase we all go through. Well, maybe not. And that's when I say, at what point, do you realize that, like Brina says, that, never thought of how it might affect, that person. So, because even in growing adult, he would still give people nicknames. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think adults do give people nicknames. Um, when you're on the job, you get a nickname. I'm just saying that a nickname doesn't have to be mean. What if that nickname causes someone to do themselves harm, or and you say it's a cultural thing, all walks of life, it doesn't matter. Well, and you're saying that again. Well, May, apparently, we have a difference of opinion. I'm not out to give someone a name to make them feel bad about themselves, or to hurt them. And apparently for you it doesn't matter. So we just have a difference of opinion on that. So um you know and let's see. I saw something that no, I already said that. Okay, Brina, I thought you had made another comment that I had missed. So yeah, I mean, people have a difference of opinion on however you want to do it. But if you're that person who's out to purposely give someone a nasty name, or you laugh at people who don't like their name and they ask you to stop, and you don't, then that's you. That's who you are. So welcome, GP man. So May, you wanted to make a comment?
Hello, everybody. I'm just here laughing, remembering the good times. But it doesn't. I don't know. As I said, it's an opinion thing, but it has been something that has been throughout ages. You're gonna have good nicknames and you're gonna have bad nicknames. It's just unfortunate you might end up with a bad nickname, but it doesn't define who you are. And it's even better if, because they say there are two things to it. Because if you reply to them calling you that name, then it's gonna stick. But if you own up to it, it's not gonna stick. So it depends on how you handle the situation. With that nickname, it might stick and it doesn't have to stick. And aside from that, you can come up with something different and give that person a more rootless nickname than yours. So every all the attention just diverts to that person. So it's as it would just be a play on words kind of thing, and if an individual should take it to heart and want to harm themselves, I would be very wary of that person, because that person can also comes into work one day and shoot up the place. So
You are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That person can come into the workplace and can shoot up the place. So if that person is asking you to stop, and you know that they're serious, you don't know what a person's uh
and
point of where they just snap. You don't know where that is. So you may laugh now, but you may be the person getting shot tomorrow. So
and to be
you
honest,
know
knowing me, because I'm here laughing, I would still dog that person, and I will see the breaking point, and knowing me, I wouldn't show up for work, because I know that person's mentality has already cracked. So I wouldn't be showing up at work for a whole week.
Well, okay, so we know what type of person you are. You don't go to funerals of people who who have killed themselves, and you would just laugh at people who are hurt by nicknames. Okay, then. Um, let me see. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, Frankie says you don't have to be mean. And you know, when you look at a nickname, you let's say you have children who are giving other children in their class nicknames. Um and you see this person, this kid, you're calling them this nickname, and you see them getting upset and they cry, whatever. Okay, yeah, I get it on one hand that you're kids, but on the other hand, what do you tell this kid that they should just, suck it up and come up with another nickname for someone else? I mean, we all already live in a society, that just, making it from day to day for some people is just hard. But at what point do we, you know, recognize that some things are just not right, and then if that same nickname carries with them, over onto adult life, and and they don't like it, at what point are you an adult? As an adult, are you an adult to realize, stop acting like a child, and start calling them by their own name? I mean, might be funny for some, but when you're the only one laughing and the other person who you're talking about isn't laughing, then maybe you should stop. Maybe you should, just back off. I mean, I don't know. That's just me. When you have things where people can get depressed and what have you, and you have children, who some people never get over it. So you may laugh at them, whatever, but this is, real for some people. May, you want to say something?
um, I get what you're saying, and I acknowledge that it's very true. But at the end of the day, ask yourself, how did you get over it? How did you move on as an individual, being called whatever you were called growing up, or in high school, or grade, grade school? I don't, kindergarten or whatever it is. I don't know your schooling system. But yeah, how did you maneuver through that phase? And you're still here. And I know you don't hold any grudges against those individuals,
Well,
because you.
actually, actually, for one particular name that I was called, that I'm not going to share, it was very mean, and I think about it to this day, and it was hurtful, and I never got over it. And before you came on, I was, telling, everyone about when a friend of mine found out what the topic was, she texted me and she said, "I still remember the name that so and so used to call me and my sister. We all grew up on the same block. Whatever. We've known each other since we were like two. Whatever. And 50 years later." She still thinks about that, and the same person gave me a name, whatever, that was just downright mean and downright hurtful. So I do think about it. So there are some nicknames that from school and whatever that I got over, but there are some that I didn't. So are you going to say that I'm this weak person, whatever? Okay, fine, maybe.
I wouldn't say that. If you wanna say that, that's you saying it. I would say that you haven't grown up. You're not fully grown beyond that point to acknowledge that things like that are going to happen. There's no denying it. It happened before you, and it will happen after you. So it's not like something. Yes, I understand it's a bad thing, and more each years goes by. Um, children are more. I don't want to say soft or. I don't want to be mean, but more sensitive. Individuals become more sensitive. I don't know how the hell that's happening, but apparently it's happening because everybody seems to forget that the world is not all sunshine and rainbows, and it's not all good people outside in the world. There are individuals that are different from you, who view things different from you, who act different from you. So you're gonna encounter that individual regardless. It can be in your country, it can be in your state, it can be in your city. You are going to encounter individuals throughout your lifetime who are going to be mean to you, call you names, because that's me. The reason why I think you have a different interpretation of who I am, I somewhat accept life as it is. I'm not saying that I understand everything about life, but when it comes to people and characteristics and behaviors, that's something I am very observant of, and I tend to view individuals as who they are, how they behave, and I don't say I'll accept them, but at the end of the day, as long as you don't harm me, as in put your hands on me, you can push me and whatever. But if you smack me, that's a whole different story. But you can push me, you can talk shit. That's just that. So it's just how I view things, and I'm not saying that everybody should view things as how I do, but you should just accept it as in that's the world we live in, just as how you can accept this is the world we live in with certain individuals or certain movements, and you can accept that. Then accept that that's it's this, and your child. You should grow your child as in an individual that's open to certain things. I'm not gonna say everything because certain things I very very don't agree with, but when it comes down to people and different characteristics and behaviors and patterns of people, then your child should acknowledge that. Well, you can tell them because they are around different children daily. So, I don't know. It's just very strange how I view things. I don't know. My apologies for speaking so long.
Well, Brina says, I think when you're younger, it's more about being cool and you don't care if it may be hurtful, and we don't all have the same mental strength, so it could really bother some. And then she says, I've been called a spick, but it was more derogatory than a nickname. Um, okay. Welcome, Rena, and welcome, Mr. A. You know, um, my thing is that, you know, yes, when you're a child, we come up with nicknames that are mean, you know, but then more and more, you don't know. what that person's going to do. When someone says, don't call me that, don't call me that, don't call me that. And, they go back home, they get their daddy's rifle, whatever, and they come back up to school and bam, the person's dead. You know, when we get older, I think that certain nicknames you just should stop calling that person. You called that person, a fat man when they were in eighth grade, or you know when they were 16. Well, when they're 26, maybe we shouldn't call them fat man anymore. Maybe we should give them the respect and call them by their name. Maybe you shouldn't call that person four eyes anymore. Even if they still, wear six lenses, whatever. Maybe you should just give that person the respect and call them by their name. And while you're laughing or you think it's not that big of a deal when your child is calling someone else's child a name, one day your child's going to be on the other end, and it may not be something, quote unquote, as simple as just a nickname. It could be something even worse. So Mr. A says, my grandma gave everyone mean nicknames growing up. Mine was gordo. It means fat. I called my son Gordito. When I moved to Ohio, they called me fat man, and still do in my old neighborhood. LOL. Okay, so I'm assuming that Mr. A doesn't mind. Okay, but there are some people that too. I'm Latino. Let's see, GB man. I'm Latino from Texas and never heard that slur here. Okay, so and it's interesting, GP, that you're saying the word slur as opposed to nickname. Is there a particular reason why you purposely say slur as opposed to nickname?
But
You know,
oh, sorry.
no, go on, go on.
Oh, yeah, I was just making a observation on the point that you stated about an individual being called a certain nickname and then going home for their father's gun or whatever. That still doesn't, well, to me it seems as if you're justifying them being called a nickname, so they have all right to go back and shoot up the
Oh
school.
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm just saying that you don't know what somebody may do. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I understand, but it's
Out,
it's
out,
gonna be
out.
it's gonna be very worse for them if they go to prison. So it's
I
gonna
mean,
even
but okay, but you know what? Yes, you're absolutely right. But in the moment, when that person, has just they're just fed up. What cast? When that person is just fed up, what do you do? I mean, I'll take a story that happened about 20 years ago. And I do believe it was in California. You had this one boy who they were on a little league team. And this one boy, every single time this other kid would get up to bat, the other kid would always swing, miss, swing, miss, swing, miss. And the other kid would just relentlessly tease him, tease him, tease him, tease him, tease him until it got physical. Where the one boy started pushing the other boy, saying you shouldn't be on the team if you can't hit, if you can't play, you shouldn't be on the team. You're a loser. You're a loser. You're a loser. Okay, what did the little boy do? He turned around with his baseball bat because they were on a baseball field, and he beat the crap out of this other boy who was teasing him, where he beat him to death. That boy is now spending, I think he went to juvie for until he was 21, and then I think he got an additional 20 years. So by now he's probably finishing up his term, whatever. But both of these parents, they were on Oprah, and the one father whose son was killed said, It was all in fun. It was all in fun. And witnesses said that this one kid, you got physical. It went from words to being physical. So at what point is it still in fun if you're the only one laughing? And then all of a sudden it's a problem when this boy takes a baseball bat and starts beating you up. So was
Okay.
he justified in bringing in beating the boy with the baseball bat? Absolutely not. But at what point do you stop? At what point do the parents say, enough is enough, leave this little boy alone? It's little league, my goodness. It's little league. You're supposed to be out there having fun. So what the boy misses the ball, whatever. So what? It's a game. Okay. May, you want to say something?
Yeah, of course, it's a game, and they're young, but they're still competitive. Um, Not trying to justify neither cases, but how can I put it? All right, from this first swing, someone should have jumped in. I would have allowed the first swing. Sorry, but once the first swing occurs, then an adult, because I know there's a lot of adults there, so it shouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
even continued to death. It shouldn't have led to death. Um, and secondly, yeah, I don't think if you can't if you keep missing, like seriously, I don't think you should be on a team. I should be the last person to bat, of course. So if everybody likes to
Okay,
win.
okay, but you know what? Now that just sounds. I mean, again, it is a sport. Okay, again, I told you guys the other day that when my son was in a race, he was always the last one, always the last one. When my husband signed him up for a team ball, my son did not want to play. My husband's like, come on, just try it. I try it. My son was that one who was missing the ball, whatever. He just did not like it. He's not a sports person, never has been, never will be, whatever. I don't knock people from, if, you could be the best baseball player, the worst, the best person in tennis or whatever, you could be the worst. Everyone should, especially if you're a child, everyone should have that chance to play. It's not for anyone to say, well, you shouldn't be on the team. But also being a team is also, cheering on your teammates or whatever. Um, you know, everybody gets a turn thing. But if your child takes it to the point so much where you're going to start physically pushing someone and just teasing them relentless, and then you're going to start physically hurting them because they're missing a ball, what does that say about you, and what does that say about your kid? I mean, you weren't anticipating that this other boy, who I do believe was 14, the other boy was 15, that this 14-year-old boy is going to turn around and wallop you, and your son's gone. So yeah, my son may spend 20 years in prison, but your son's gone for something that could have been prevented and stopped with your son. Your son. So what do you do? So again, I go back to, I know that the conversation has changed, but when you go back to the nicknames and all this other stuff, what are the consequences? What are things that could happen? What that person who's at work, and the boss is always messing on him and treating him a certain way. Then one day that person goes home, comes back, and he brings a gun, and his intent was only to shoot the boss, but then he says, well, hey, I'm gonna shoot you too, because you were laughing at me, and I'm gonna shoot you. You just don't know. Welcome back, Juju. So, May, you have something you want to say?
I get what you're saying, and yes, I'm thinking about it very keenly, but I don't know. I can't speak for other individuals. I know for myself, I will be laughing, and I will have it in the back of my mind that maybe one day that individual is gonna crack. So I need to look for telltale signs, of course. And every time I see that individual, always be on point. Always be
But
on
are
guard.
there okay? But are there telltale signs? I mean, yes, there. I do believe that some people show signs that they could crack. I think that some people do. But what about those people that don't? What about that person who comes to work every day and says, "Hi, hi, good morning, yes, hi, hi," and then they have that gun that's in their purse or in their bag or whatever, and one day they just snap. What about that person? Do you always know the telltale signs?
Oh, that's a premeditated kind of
Yeah,
behavior.
yeah, right, but I'm saying, but do you know the
No,
the,
no,
the
I wouldn't
telltale
know.
signs?
I wouldn't know, and I would know if I'm not the first person being shot. After the first shot, I'll be like, okay, shit. But if I'm the first person being shot, I'll be like, okay, then fuck. You know? I'll be like, shit, that's just how it is. I don't know what else to say. I'm already shot, you know? But if someone else are here the first shot breaks, then I'll know exactly, like, it's that person. And then I'll start to make my moves from there. But otherwise, from that, it's just a premeditated thing. Um, there wouldn't be any telltale signs that shows that they had been planning it, or not really planning it, but they have had the gun for a reason to, whenever they feel like they're gonna just start doing whatever they're doing. But
So is it fair to say that when you say that person, that is, that they plan, that they brought this gun, to work, and what have you, is it fair to say that whenever you tease someone about a nickname, or whenever you tease someone, period, or you're at work and you're giving your coworker a hard time over and over and over, and you think it's funny and they're not laughing and they're asking you to stop, but they're being really calm, whatever, how do you know that they didn't have that gun that they just always carry, just because they just carry a gun? They could be that person who, when they go to the market, they have a gun because they want to protect themselves, whatever, but one day that gun comes out and they start shooting.
so I get what you're saying again. I would not. All right, what you Americans would say, sorry, are responsible, or yeah, responsible gun owner. You guys, they don't normally. There are very there are rare instances that you have individuals who are a bit weird. I understand that, but for the majority, normal gun carriers are very responsible, and I would assume they have thick skin. But
I
yes,
mean, I
everybody.
mean, okay, but what is normal? I mean, define normal to me. If you're someone who is consistently getting picked on, or your boss is consistently doing something to you, what is normal? I mean, define normal when someone has a gun. Define normal when someone snaps and maybe they don't have a gun, maybe they don't have that baseball bat, but just gets up and they slap the crap out of you because they're tired of your teasing and what have you. Define normal.
I would consider that being normal. You slap me or slap the individual, fine, because yes, I'm talking shit. But for you to get a gun and come back, you had ample time to think about what you're doing and the consequences of your action.
You're saying that a slap isn't bad because, or not as bad, because the person is not killing someone. But let's just say that that person has been sitting there saying to themselves, if Mate says one more thing to me or calls me that name again, I'm going to get up and I'm going to slap the living crap out of him. That is premeditated. That's something that that person has already said. If you do that again, they're going to jump up and they are going to slap you. So
And
the only
and
difference is a slap is not as bad as a gunshot. But the fact is again is premeditated, right?
As I said, I would settle for the slap because I understand if I overstep the boundaries and push my luck talking shit because I'll talk shit for days and just laugh. So I'll understand that and I would be like, all right, I won't say I would stop messing with that individual, but I wouldn't carry it to an extent. And of course, when work is over, me and that individual, we're gonna have a talk. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna have a talk with that individual, and I'm gonna voice my whatever I have to say. I'll be like, all right, I'll give you that one free. I'll still talk shit, but I'll keep it on a level. But if you ever
Oh, okay, okay. So you're saying that you're going to tell him that you're still going to talk shit about him after he just slapped you.
to a degree, I didn't know if you heard that part.
Okay,
Well,
but yeah, okay, okay, but if he still, but if you knew that you got slapped because you were talking about him in the first place, why would you continue to talk about him even to that degree?
as I said, we're gonna have a me and that individual are gonna have a personal talk. If he said don't say anything else to him, I don't have a problem not doing that. If because I'm gonna address the fact that he slapped me. I'm gonna be like, yo, understand? I overstepped my boundaries, and you reacted. I'll give you that one for free. I will still talk my shit. If you don't want me to talk my shit, then I will avoid ever referring you to anything, and you should do the same. Never call my name in your mouth if you can't have a friendly um vibe or whatever. I don't know what you guys call
But
it there.
how? Okay, but okay, I guess you're missing my point because wait, hold on for a second. Welcome Crucible, Nick and Paul, Crazy Lady, welcome back, Juju and Baram, welcome. Okay, so May, how is it friendly if he or she is telling you that you need to stop messing with them or talking shit about them or calling them names, whatever, and then you kept doing it, so then they slap you. Then you're saying you're going to have a talk with that person and saying, well, I'm going to continue to do it, but I'm not going to do it as much. So then that person says, okay, I already slapped the living crap out of you. This time I'm going to go home and I'm going to get my gun. They already told you with that slap, don't talk about me. Stop, leave it. It's not funny. But you're still taking it to the next level and say you're still going to talk, you're still going to talk shit to them. Come on.
All right, cool, fair enough. I'm not in the situation, but all right. There are individuals who are very strange. When the spectrum is on the other hand, or the pendulum swings the other way, you'll see them laughing at other people when other people are being clowned and other people are being dogged and talk shit about or talk shit on. You'll see them laughing, but once it reaches them, they start to puff up and they start to get in their feelings. Then you shouldn't be laughing if I'm talking shit about somebody else. If I switch it to you and now you're all puffy and in your feelings, you shouldn't be taking part. You shouldn't even be having a smirk on your face. Because if you can't take what we call here, we call it mouthing. If you can't take mouthing, then you shouldn't be within the vicinity of when it's happening, and you shouldn't be even laughing. Because when we start to clown you, then you're gonna want to resort to violence. That doesn't make any sense. But yet still you
No, but at the same time, though, Brina brings up a good point. She says typically the quote unquote bully is the one that needs counseling or help. They're causing pain to others for a reason. So I would say, May, that in your regard, you would be the bully if the person is telling you to stop whatever you are doing and they don't think that is funny, and then it resorts to violence, then what do you expect?
Brina, what are you talking about, Brina? I am not a bully, and I do not
Well,
need help. Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure, but I don't wouldn't consider myself being a bully. I just like having a light atmosphere, a light environment where everybody can just be relax and be themselves and have conversation and we laugh. That's the only way to get work time passed. Like when you're working, to just get the time passed and flowing. Because if everybody's all stuck up and all of that, no, it's work. It's just gonna be dull. Well, I don't know.
Well,
Really, so
I'm glad that I don't work in an atmosphere that the only way that work isn't dull is if we talk about people to an extent where it becomes mean. Because that right there, that just sounds ridiculous. So, on that note, Grit, thank you for waiting patiently. Thank you for coming on the show. You wanted to say something.
Hey, how's it, everyone? Yeah, I had a situation when I was in school. There was a popular guy that used to pick on a lot of people.
Okay, Grit. Wait, hold on. Do you have your window open?
I don't, but I'm busy driving.
Okay,
um,
okay, because there's a
let me,
lot of background noise.
yeah, just driving a freaking noisy truck. Hang on. Is that better?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, I had a situation in school where I was a quiet kid in school, and there was this one popular kid that used to always pick on everybody. And the day came when it was my turn, and yeah, I, I wasn't going to have it. I'm not a aggressive person or a violent person, but I basically put him up against the wall and I said to him, "You're not doing this to me." And he became my friend after that, and never had a day's problem with him after that.
And
So
sometimes that's
sometimes,
what you have to do.
yeah. So sometimes you just got to stand up to them, and they're not as tough as you think, you know. But yeah, like I've had a situation with my kids at school where someone kept picking on them, and I just went into the school, called the other parent up, had a conversation with him, and it stopped. You know, so yeah, never had a situation where it's been as violent as someone bringing a gun to school, or you know, or pulling a gun on me or anyone that I know. But yeah, I
So,
think
so,
it.
so, 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 Grant, what would you do if you talked to the other parent and the other parent just said, "Oh, it's not a big deal," and they didn't take it seriously? What would you do?
Um, I would probably take it further. I suppose. I know we have. I have before gone to like the school committee board. You know, above the teachers on a situation, and that normally seems to help. But I think if you make enough noise at school and with the teachers, you know, something gets done about it. I've never had a situation where they've just, you know, said, "Well, it's just kids," you know, let them be. You know, I've never had that situation.
But do you think that as a school principal or teacher, or whatever, to say they're just being kids, do you think that as a parent, you should necessarily accept that because sometimes it's not just being a kid. Sometimes you have those kids that take it just a little further, or maybe your child may not like what the other person's saying, and you need to just really make sure that it's nipped in the bud.
Yeah, I don't think it's okay for them to say, you know, that they're just kids. Absolutely not. You know, I would bring it to that parent's attention very quickly and clearly that you know, this is not going to happen and it needs to stop. Um, and I think, you know, if you show like a lot of um, anger, I think, towards the situation, they'll see that, oh, okay, you know, this can be a problem. I better speak to my kid and you know, sort it out. I believe that that definitely does help a lot. I had another situation. A girl I used to date a while back. Her kids were getting picked on by some of the teachers, where the teachers were actually smacking the kids, and her child was a daughter. She had a daughter, and they were smacking her on the hands with a thin little PVC pipe. And I mean, in South Africa, the corporal punishment has been banned. You're not allowed to. smacked school kids, and they were coming home with like swollen red stripes, on their hands. So I went into the school and I said to them, I said to them, if I ever see these kids with any marks of them again, you're going to be smacking me around and not the kids, and we'll see how that turns out. And that stopped like immediately from there on. There was no situation after that. So I think you just got to be um, quite vocal about the situation and show them that it's this is not okay.
Okay. All right. Crucible, you have the mic. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Before I play devil's advocate here, I want to make sure everybody understands I am staunchly and adamantly opposed to bullying of any kind. Bullying can sometimes be in the eye or the mind of the bullier or those who are being bullied. It can be a subjective term, but I'm against it when it causes significant harm. But what's to say? I'm a little bit older, and I remember a time I was in seventh grade, and we had an eighth grade class. And although we were friends with the other boys, the eighth grade boys, every day before school for a good solid 2 or 3 months, when we got to school in the morning for the first half an hour before class started, they would chase us around the neighborhood mercilessly. And when they caught us, they would beat the crap out of us. And it was hazing, it was bullying. I was terrified to go to school, to be honest with you. I was brand new at the school. I didn't know anybody, and I was hanging out with people who are highly unpopular, and I was a big target. And I told my mom about it, and she wanted to go down to the school and talk to somebody. That's what parents want to do. And I forbade her to do it. I said, Mom, we will sort this out. I don't like this. I don't like being chased every morning. I hate getting ready for school because I know what's going to happen every single day. But I begged her and pleaded with her not to go to school because I didn't want to be the kid who couldn't take a little bit of razzing, a little bit of maybe it wasn't a little bit. It was 40 years ago, so it's hard to remember. But I remember being terrified, and I remember saying, "I will handle this. I will handle this. I mean, if I need your help, I will handle it." So I guess my point is, and I'm going to get to it eventually, is at what point do we let kids settle their own differences in their own way? Up to a point, you can say they're only kids. And maybe that's till they're 7 or 8. After that, you start to realize how hurtful your words can be and how hurtful and cruel your behavior can be. But at what point do you let kids figure this out themselves, solve their own problems? They can't always be running to mom and dad. Again, so I'm playing devil's advocate. I agree bullying is absolutely the worst thing you can do to another person. But at what point are kids supposed to stand on their own 2 feet and figure it out for themselves? I don't know what that age is, but I think you can go too far in legislating behavior and not letting kids solve their own problems.
I would agree to that to a point because I think that kids have gotten a lot meaner. And I think with the introduction of social media, you see kids that are 7 and 8 who are just being downright mean and cruel, and you see kids that are 7 and 8 who go home and they kill themselves because of something that they should have handled on their own. Or and you also see parents who think that is not a big deal. So
You make an
at what
I'm sorry, Tolga. You make an excellent point. I want to just follow up on that real quick, but go ahead. You finish.
No, so I mean, so at what point, because to me, yes, you let kids handle it on their own, and for some kids, it could be okay. I'm going to handle it because when I was young, my mother told my sister and I, if somebody hits you, you try to. These were her words: knock the shit out of them. My father, on the other hand, thought that my mother was absolutely wrong. No, you don't teach girls to do that. Girls should not fight. But at the same time, it's like you're outside for recess and you have this kid that keeps pushing you. What happens when instead of hitting them back with their hand, they pick up a rock? What happens when, I mean, here in California 2 years ago, we had these 2 kids who were bullying this one kid. The little boy kept saying, stop, stop, stop. And all the other kids, they got around, fight, 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 the way kids do. And they pushed this little boy so hard that he bumped his head up against the pillar of the building. He was brain dead, and his parents pulled the plug on him, I think, within a week. And now those two kids are now waiting a trial for murder. So what do you do? What do you do when bullying has just gotten so bad?
Well, you make an excellent point, Sal, and I made a note to mention that, and I blanked as I was kind of rambling there. But what's missing in my time, the story I told versus now, you're absolutely right, is social media. When we were younger, the only interaction we had with our fellow students was when we got to school in the morning and on the playground at recess and after school. There was no social media. There was no Facebook. There was none of that stuff. So what happens these days, I'm assuming, is the fires get stoked in the off time. In other words, whatever happens during school hours is just the beginning. Then it continues afterwards in the evening and after school, and the sniping goes back and forth on social media. And by the time people show up at school, things have built into such a crescendo that it injects an element of animus, ongoing, continuing animus that we didn't see as kids. When we went home from school, everything was normal again. It started up again the next morning, but during those intervening hours, everything was calm. These days, anything is far from calm. So I think you make an excellent point. Social media has definitely changed the game.
Yes, it has. And on that note, I'm going to pass the mic over to Chill Will. Welcome.
What's happening, everybody? Everybody in the chat. Great day, awesome day, and yeah. So bullying is man, I don't know. That was the initial subject matter. Let me read it real quick.
We were
But I
talking
do
about
know
childhood nicknames
nicknames. Oh yeah.
to turn into being a bully or whatever.
Oh yeah. That ain't. Everybody got a childhood nickname. I ain't gonna tell y'all mine, but it was references it was a baby. Like when you got baby names, like yeah. If you got mean names, you mean like that's just how it is. It's just like you gotta teach your kids not to be so sensitive and references to the names. But y'all talking about bullying, which that's a different level
Okay,
of
I'm going to stop you for a moment because you came in late where Mate and I were going back and forth of that whole thing about teaching your kids not to be so sensitive. But anyway, go ahead.
as far as I think that you gotta let words roll. Like you can't. I don't care what nobody say. You got to let words roll. Period. Like I don't care what you do, as long as you kind of like how you said. Your parents taught your mama said somebody put their hands on you, you whip their ass. Same difference. I don't care what you say. To me, one thing you better not do is put your hands on me. And we gonna be square. I don't care nothing about all that. That's just a process of learning and growing and being confident in yourself, understanding that, people are dickheads. That is, I mean, it's gonna be a process in life. I mean, it's always that exceptional.
Okay, but what if you have that one kid that you keep teasing and calling that child that name or whatever, and it's hurting them to the point where they're depressed, where it's just mean. I mean,
Yeah, that happens. It's gonna happen.
okay,
That happen.
right.
It's gonna
So
happen.
okay, so what happens if that kid, goes home and he kills himself? Or as I told May, what happens if that kid comes back, with his father's gun? What are you gonna do?
Okay, so therefore, number one, as a parent, that's where you gotta know your kids, right? So if your kids don't let you know, I mean, typically you know your kids, and if something's wrong at the school, if something was wrong with me, my mom would know. She'd know what's wrong at the school, and she didn't care about me going up there. Like Crucible said, like I wouldn't want her to go up there, but she ain't give a damn about that. Ain't nobody about to mess with my kids. You know what I'm saying? And not only would she talk to me, she could find a boy in that class and pull us to the side in front of the class and say, what's the problem? And address everybody in the class on why it ain't cool to do whatever. So it was a different governing system back then, I believe. I mean, it's a little different now, but kids definitely aren't meaner nowadays. Kids were horrible. Kids back then, it's not social media maybe, but they're just as cruel back then as they are now. They're way more cognizant of not bullying in these days. way more cognizant. It's like a whole not bullying campaign. Back then, bullying was way of life. You get chased home from school, you get in fights, I couldn't wear the wrong shoes in school. You couldn't wear the wrong jeans. You couldn't wear the wrong, like, it's going down. You're gonna get ranked on, bullied on. And so one thing you don't do is succumb to that pressure. It may be a horrible situation, but the thing is you never succumb to that
But okay,
pressure.
but
Period.
chill. You can't say that because what as I was saying before is you don't know what someone's breaking point is while you're calling a person's name, a name, whatever. Like we said yesterday, you don't know what a person's home life is. You don't know, so you don't know while you're so busy saying, "Oh, you just need to overcome it. Oh, this is just childhood, whatever." You don't know that you're going to push that person the wrong way, the wrong one time, and they're going to come back and they're either going to slap the crap out of you or it's going to be something worse. So I don't think I personally don't think it's fair to say that get over it, or you need to buckle up, or
Hmm.
man up, because you don't know.
Yeah, that's the biggest difference between mothers and fathers, right there.
And I have to disagree with you.
I'm just saying that's for on an average. We talking about averages. We're not talking about exceptions where people bust their head open and die. That's normal. That's not normal in a bullying situation. We're talking about the regular everyday kid cruelty stuff
I
like
Right.
that. That understood. That's understood. It can always go to an exception, and that's it's horrible. But we're just talking about averages, like on a normal case of nobody necessarily, dying or shooting up a school. You know what I'm saying? We're just
but
talking on
okay,
a regular basis.
but chill. Do you think that we're on that level with social media? Because I'm not talking about, oh, you don't have your tennis shoes are all beat up, whatever, ha ha ha, oh, your jacket's torn, ha ha ha. I'm talking
Hmm.
about nowadays kids are cruel, and then you throw in the social media point of it. It gets even worse. It takes it up to the next level. So you could have left school that day and they were just talking about your tennis shoes, and you come back and they're saying, oh, your mother's this, your father's this, and you can't afford this, and look at this, and this is why you stink, because you have this and this and this. Maybe the person's homeless. Maybe their parents can't afford to
Yeah,
pay the
I'm
water
I'm
bill.
not, I'm not
I'm just
disagreeing with
saying.
that. I'm not
So I
disagreeing
don't
with none
think
of that. So what you gonna do? Go kill yourself? Is that an option?
some but some children do.
We're not talking about some. I'm talking about what you gonna teach your kids or what you gonna do. What you gonna
No,
do? Go kill
I
yourself for that?
understand what you can teach your children, but how they're
Right.
feeling and what they do at the moment is something entirely different.
Oh well, right. So when you catch your kid in that moment, typically you will catch your kid in that moment to some degree. I'm not saying that it won't happen and it shouldn't happen. You're gonna address the other end, right? To their best of your capability, but at the same time your kid at an early age is getting a rough lesson in how life is not fair, or there are people that's the life's lesson. So it ain't no if ands or buts about you changing this to the positive. You're gonna have to figure out a way through this, period. Because the last thing is to take your life, and that's the way you have to approach it. Because if you don't, what's the other alternative? So it's not an option. It's no options. We go, okay, well, you go, yeah, go soak and be in the corner and think contemplate suicide. But that's what you're supposed to tell your child.
Well,
No,
no,
you're gonna tell them
I mean, okay, chill. I don't think anybody would go tell their
right.
child, well,
Thank you. That's
if
what I'm
you come
saying.
home. But I'm just saying, but you don't know. But while you're so busy telling your child or this kid, I understand, but just let it roll off. Just don't think
Uh,
about them. It's not a big deal, whatever. And they're going, okay, on the outside, but in the inside, it's like every day this kid gives, he pushes me around, he teases me, he's this and this and this, they're laughing at me for this. I'm just saying
mhm.
what they're doing on the outside and what's on the inside. Just like a lot of parents who go through this and they find out that their child committed suicide. We thought that we told him, oh, we didn't know, we thought that we were helping him, we didn't know. Yeah, because
You can't
exactly you didn't
you
know.
can't blame them. You can't blame them for a child committing suicide though. Like
No,
that's
no,
rough.
I am not doing that.
But
I'm just saying.
I can tell you, I'm speaking from personal experiences. You know what I'm saying? Most people that grew up in my neighborhoods was gonna get bullied, but all of that. So there's options, and then that typically, I that those extenuating circumstances didn't happen. Now I'm not saying that they wouldn't, but I know where I'm from that don't happen. You know what I'm saying? Now that somebody could get hurt, but actually it escalates. If anything, the worst part of getting bullied is escalates to the teenagers. You know what I'm saying? And then to the parents, and then the parents acting a fool up at the school. And if you got, depending on the depending on the parents you got, like in some cases, it might be you know, a Chris, the Crip of blood down the street. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's the last thing you want up at a school. Now that can happen, but when the things escalate and people see that, a lot of times, you know how many people I've been necessarily like that I'm cool with today that I probably didn't treat the best way, or that even more so that just might have bullied on me and we better
And I'm
nowadays.
not
You know what I'm
saying
saying?
I'm not
So
saying that
it's
that
a
that, that doesn't happen. I'm not saying that
also
doesn't happen.
also I got you, but also there's a what I listen. Ain't no room I can be in, and somebody try to bully me word wise. I can't get back at them because I grew up in that environment. Unless somebody try to say something about me, watch it go down. I ain't met a person in the room that I can't be witty. A lot came from it. I learned how to defend myself not only with fists but with words first. And if they want to embarrass me, all right, I'm gonna embarrass your ass back. So I had learned how to I had to survive, So you learn that type of stuff, and you kind of grasp on quick. And then over time, every day, sometimes it's more serious for others than it is for maybe you who's going through certain things or other people who's seeing it. And so it depends on the levels. You got to be able to gauge people, learn people, and the teachers. It's a process. But one thing that you have to, well, I mean, as parents, you want to stay tuned into your kids and make sure they help them. And then you got to go up there as a parent. If it's that bad, hey, quit messing with my kids. But overall,
I,
that's a process. You can't avoid. You can't save them every time. They're gonna get grown.
no,
And
you're
so,
right. No, you are
who gonna save them in
absolutely
the end?
you are absolutely right. I'm just saying that sometimes people just need to back off and learn how to read a room, learn how to
Hmm.
say, you know what, maybe I should back off because this person, they're starting to give me that vibe where you keep talking here, you keep talking, it's going to be worse than
Right,
me
right. Nobody,
knocking
but
the,
nobody
the, the
owes you
crap out
empathy,
of you.
right?
No,
Empathy
no,
or sympathy. So,
no,
so
no.
that's what I'm saying. We got to deal with the world not really giving a damn. So that's where we start at our base. I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying. So we got to learn how to deal with that first, and then hopefully we can expand. Hopefully we put our kids in different environments where they can foster and feel comfortable. That's but at the time being, we got to figure out how to get through that because we don't want to grow up to be some weak grown ups that can't take pushback at all, or you can't do certain things.
No, true, but
You don't
then,
want to
but,
be
but
that.
at the same time, but true, but at the same time, you also don't have to be that mean person either. You also don't
Okay,
have to be that,
absolutely, absolutely, I get that, but
So
I want to know how
yeah.
to handle that mean person.
No, I mean,
Though, you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
and I get you. And for some people,
yeah, yeah.
handling them is either slapping the crap out of them, or handling for some people may mean to
Which
go get
teaches
that,
that's a good lesson too, right?
may
That's a
go
good
get that
lesson.
that that baseball bat, whatever. I mean,
And
you
bust your
you
ass
just
upside
never
the head.
know,
Exactly.
no.
So now
And
you're
we
gonna
were,
learn not to talk so much. So that's my point. The universe has a way of correcting itself. Not necessarily. I mean, it are or if that tragedy happens, and so a whole school of kids gonna learn that's gonna escalate, and unfortunately, it had to be something like that that can escalate to a higher thing. So
but you,
those are
but you
lessons
know
in that.
what, Chill, though, unfortunately, with all of the shootings that we have had in this country, and all the school shootings that we've had with some kid who is upset because they were talked about by the captain of the football team. Apparently that lesson still has not been learned.
Oh yeah,
that lesson still
it
that
never will
lesson
be,
still has
because
not been learned, that if
yeah,
you
then
keep
that
talking
it'll
about
never be no.
the person that you're calling nerd, or the person that you're calling fat Phil, or whatever, you still haven't learned that those people can go home, get their mom and daddy's guns, or whatever, and come back up to school. Those lessons still have not been learned. So, F1, you made a comment you have the mic. You said you disagree. I don't know if you were disagreeing with me, or you were disagreeing with Chill, or you were disagreeing with whomever. So you have the mic.
Yes, no, it was some of the things that Chilwell said. Like I'm going to go towards, like, not all kids are the same. Not all kids have the same thickness of skin. Some can take it and handle themselves, and some can't. And I believe we need to stand up for the ones that can't. Um, and yeah, it's just some kids can go to school, get a bit of name calling, and they've got a quick tongue and can bite back. And some are just quiet and are more held back and keep taking the punishment all over and over each day and can't defend themselves. So for those kids, you can't tell them, just take it, it's words, because that can escalate to suicide or a fatal shooting or something like that. So I believe for those kids, that they need that extra bit of help, or they need that guidance maybe in to help them in life, in future situations. Like, this is not good. If this happens, you need to do this or report this, or get the help that you need or something. So that's just what I agree. Like, some kids can handle themselves, and some can't, and the ones that can't, you need to help them.
Got you. But what I'm saying to y'all is that that's it. When does it come a hindrance or a help? There's a fine line, right? And so when
Yeah,
what you want to do is don't be a hindrance. Don't tell a kid they can't protect themselves. When I be damned if I'm smarter than this. I don't care if something's around you. It's a rock, like she says, a rock. It's a stick. It's a whatever. You pick that and you bust his ass in the head, and he'll leave you alone because you ain't asking for it. You just gonna finish it though. And so don't tell no kid he can't do that because you now they just stuck not doing nothing, getting their ass beat. Sitting there getting their ass beat is not an option. So that's what I'm saying. How you deal with it when it's there, not after, not the aftermath, because the bully's been there already, or he been there. Like you can, I mean, how do you happen? That's what you want to teach your kids. You want to teach, you want to, tell them that they're helpless, because most times they're not helpless. You know what I'm saying? Now, if somebody got a gun, you just live to fight another day, right? But if somebody just regularly
yeah,
bullying you and they want to, what I'm saying, and somebody got some words to say to you, you got to learn how to be thick skin because there's going to be times when I'm not here to come to your school. Daddy can't come to your school when you're 30 years old. Daddy
yeah,
can't come to your, you know what I'm saying? Or, sometimes you might be embarrassed. This is how you got to handle this. One thing you
But
don't do, you
okay,
don't get.
but Chill, you're still going, like Grit said, you're still going to have those kids who are just not there. They're just not at. I understand
I
what you're
get,
saying,
yeah.
but you're going to have those kids who just aren't at that level, who are going
I,
to need that help.
but my point is that just like I don't know, you get a position. If you get a job and you're not ready for something, guess what you got to do? You got to get ready. So my point is that there's times when you got to teach your kids how to get ready. If you know your kid is like that, that's something you got to work on during their lifetime. Like I know my weaknesses, my kids' weaknesses. You got to help them. Not that I'm saying, push them to let them know, open them up to let them know that, hey, I don't know if you know your kids is kind of timid like that, put them in karate. You know what I'm saying? That's where parenting comes. Put them in, or just give them, let them know, hey, let's research this, or go through this. If somebody picking with you, run, get help this way, or you know what I'm saying, or if you got your phone, call 911. Well, however you want to handle it, put systems in place to where you learn that I don't have to, when you tell you like a kidnapper come, scream, you know what I'm saying, do certain, I don't know, whatever it is, you make sure if your kid is susceptible to that, you have them prepared because I will may not be there one day, and that's what we got to talk about. We talking about that point to where I'm not there. That's a real possibility. How can I get you through that moment? I don't want to have to be in the aftermath of it and looking at you doing something else. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. Or looking
yeah.
at
But
you
what?
hurt or whatever.
Yeah. So, but I mean, also, that kid that can't defend himself, and you're saying, like, a 30-year-old at work, he needs to know how to handle himself, or get into a situation where he can do the job. But if he's still in school and he's been picked on, and he can't handle himself, he might not be around 30 years later to handle himself at work, or because no one showed him or no one helped him when he was in a dark place at school. That that caused him to take his life or take someone else's life, and he's now sitting in prison. So I
Which
just
is
think that,
understood. I understand that part. I do get that part.
yeah,
But what I'm just thinking of more so the times that those very important times when you can't be there. Like I can't be there right now. How do you handle this? You gotta have those
yeah,
conversations with your kid. It's not a point to call your daddy. Oh, daddy, you wasn't there, so I had to do whatever. No, like don't, if you having thoughts of suicide, if that's things that you have to have. Those talks, I don't care on what level. Those talks you have to have with your children, and like those are not
yeah,
options. You need to be able to be open enough to where children feel like they can come to you as well if it's getting that serious. So
yeah,
that's a whole different level of knowing children. I think that don't have nothing to do with really bullying. I think that has to do with them not having the outlet to kind of cry for help. That's other than bullying, though. For me, that's something else going on
yeah.
where they don't
That's
have no, they don't have no, they don't have that. They don't have that at home. Nobody cares. Maybe they
yeah,
are going through something. Maybe they have been bad before, and nobody believes them. Whatever. But that's an environment issue, I believe, more so than just a mental. I mean, that which is at home. It got to be rough at home too, to some degree. When nobody listening to you.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. Like if they've been bullied, they need to be comfortable in coming to their parents or to their teachers, whoever they feel confident in talking to about the situation. But I mean, it's still a bit of part of it is bullying. I suppose if they weren't bullied, they wouldn't be in that situation where they felt like it. But then that's another situation where they don't feel comfortable in speaking to their parents or to whoever is their caregiver. But yeah, that's my opinion. Yeah,
Okay, I'm going to go to Crazy Lady, but I just want to point out one thing, and then May, I'm gonna come to you when you said that you would crack them in across the face. But again, I refer back to the situation about 20 years ago with the two boys on Little League. It went more than a crack across the face. It went to one boy beating the other boy with the baseball bat. So it's like you got pushed, got pushed, got pushed, got pushed, got pushed, and this is what happened. So, um, Crazy Lady, you have the mic.
Um, I was gonna say, like with the kid and the suicide thing, there's always like warning signs before that. Whether the parents chose, to ignore them or something. I mean, there's always, and with ones that brought weapons to schools, uh, there was always odd behavior beforehand that were warning signs that people just, I don't know, chose to ignore or something. You know what I mean? Jade, she actually got in trouble at school one time for bullying and at Advocate College, but she wasn't really bullying in a way. She was just stating a fact. I mean, she made the girl cry and everything, but uh, the situation was Jade. She went to a live-in at school outside of Chicago, and she had a cell phone, and she got a new cell phone, and this kid stole Jade's cell phone, and Jade proved it and stuff, and Jade knew herself. So anytime this girl would come near her, Jade would like get up and walk away because she had nothing nice to say about the girl. And the girl would keep insisting on trying to engage with Jade. And Jade, called her out, called her a liar. And so, uh, her, and they considered Jade was bullying the girl in a way. I don't know how they consider
Okay,
that bullying.
you are breaking up.
No.
You're breaking up, Crazy Lady.
Damn it.
I'm gonna give her a chance to come back.
Am I still breaking up?
No, you aren't. Okay.
Okay. So I mean, I don't know like how that would be considered bullying, you know. Uh, you know, and I told her you bullying bullies is being a bully too. And she doesn't agree with me on that, but
I don't know if I
So,
necessarily agree with that, because sometimes bullies need to be bullied, but that's just my own opinion. But I am going to make my last round around the room because I'm going to end the show a little early. I will be hosting Michael Key's show at 4 p.m. Pacific time, so I'm going to be making the last round around the room. So, Mate, do you have any comments you would like to make?
Um, for the conversation between Chill and F1, I understand what Chill was saying, and Chill had the upper. I don't want to turn it into a debate or a competition, but Chill had the upper hand in which where he said, you're not always going to be there. So at some point in time, you need to let your child know that how to defend themselves and not try to baby them or hold their hands, because throughout life you're not always going to be there. And F1 said something about, so when they grow up and become adults, then what's going to happen? The fact that you as a parent would nurture that child to understand that life, as I said before, our individuals, our situations are not always going to be within your favor, and you're going to always be opposed to individuals who are going to be different from you in terms of behavior and characteristics. Um, Stepping in is not always a good thing. Yes, you need to let your child handle the situation and see how they handle the situation from their standpoint. Then you can adjust and tell them where they went wrong or how they should. But you have to give them space for them to develop a mindset to approach things, to become tactical or strategical in moving forward in life. So I understand what Mr. F1 is saying, but the babying thing's not gonna work. Trust me. It's not never turns out well, because that's where you get the school shooters. Trust me. That's where you get those school shooters and those workplace shooters. Because they never got a good ass whooping had like Crucible Man had growing up. You know? A good ass whooping helps build characteristics and individuals. Trust me. I got a few and I dished out a few. So I'm not gonna play as if I didn't get any. But yeah, that's my thing.
Okay, well, I disagree on the ass whooping thing, and I disagree on Chill having the upper hand with Grid. I think they were having a conversation between the two of them, and both of them had good points. Frankie, I am going to pass you the mic, and what Frankie says is another great subject, solid. Thank you very much, Frankie. And she also said something else, or was that someone else? Oh, and then Frankie, she agreed with Grid, where she says some children need help. So on that note, I'm gonna pass the mic to F1. F1, you have the mic.
Yeah, I just want to say also on a bully needs to be bullied sometimes. I agree with that. I had to do that in one of my situations, and it turned out pretty darn good. So sometimes they just need to be put in their place and showed, look, this is what it feels like. Um, you can't be doing this kind of thing to other people, and in my situation, it worked out. So yeah, that's what I got to say.
All right, thank you, and thank you for coming. Crucible, you have the mic.
Yeah, I think bullying is here to stay. I know that's an obvious statement, but I think one of the things that I've learned over time, and you hear it more and more these days, is when you can't control what's happening to you, you control your response. And I understand that's a difficult concept for kids to grasp because they're kids. They have no frame of reference, but their parents have frames of reference. And their parents, in situations like bullying, the only real counter measure is to find some balance. And I forget who brought it up. I think it was Chill. Get your kids into karate, get them into some activities that will build their confidence level, but But above all, as a parent, talk to your children, find out what's going on, counsel them, tell them that, there's a part of life, unfortunately, that includes growing up as a kid that can be highly unpleasant, it can be highly cruel and produce a lot of unhappiness, but we all have to go through it. It's a ritual of life. And if you're talking to your kids and you're listening to them, you can not only kind of divine the seriousness of what they're saying, if they're overreacting or whatnot, but you can continue to build their confidence up and let them know they're not alone in this thing. And to a certain extent, what they're going through is normal. Now, I'm not talking about hazing and real cruelty. I'm talking about the normal ups and downs of growing up. And I think if you're talking to your kids and you give them some perspective, they might not feel so overwhelmed. So that's my thought. Anyway, great topic, Solid.
Thank you, Crucible. And let's see, Crazy Lady, you have the mic. You have any last words of wisdom?
Just, know your kids, be involved with your kids. That's the best thing to do, love your kids. Love one another. That's all I have to say.
Okay. And Chill Will. Any last words?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so yeah, that's definitely my sign. You got to prepare your children for the worst case scenario and something like that. Period. There's no for me. I understand the empathy, but you have to instill number one confidence in them. You have to speak to your children and let them know. Uh, I don't baby them, because I think I see that in so many. Like I'm a single father, and I dated a lot of single mothers. That I feel like that's one of our biggest, got to be one of our biggest gaps, especially in a young man in this world. I'm not saying you're going to deny your emotions. That's not, but your response to what things are, that's very important. And a lot of times it's just enable until they grown up, and then they get in the real world. And because I've been in the military as well. I've seen these child has been sheltered all their life. Get the girl that's getting the train ran on them, or the video on them, or just like the naiveness of the dude that the chick's running game on them and taking their check. You know what I'm saying? Or just like, it's so many ways that you can shelter a child, and if you don't prepare them for this world, don't look to that child. A lot of times it's gonna be your fault because you was babying them. So that's the last thing you want to do, in my eyes, is you got to have it's a yin and yang. Obviously, I'm not saying not help them out, but overall you got to prepare them as soon as possible for this world, because one day you may not be here. We can't take for granted that I'm gonna reach 30, I'm gonna reach 50, I'm gonna reach 80. So my thing is, I want to prepare you as soon as possible, as early that's reasonable, for things that come. And so when it comes to things like handling bullying, you have the confidence or the wherewithal. Not me. I'm fresh to death. I don't know. I'm confident. And what I'm saying? Those are things you have to instill in your kids. You know what I'm saying? Keep on messing with me, I'm going to kick you in the face. You know what I'm saying? Keep on. So those are activities like having them not socially awkward, making them get up. They may not necessarily want to go outside, making them get up and go outside and play with kids, and not so they won't be socially awkward. They'll learn how to deal with personalities, opposed to letting them stay in the house, play the game all day. You know what I'm saying? And not know how to interact with actual people. So those are things that you got to do as far as with children, to help them prevent them and to have them have a healthy mental status, so they won't do nothing crazy. But as far as the bullying, there's a lot comes from me being bullied. A lot of positive that came from me being bullied. You know what I mean? I learned how to overcome situations and not to take nobody's shit in a stern way. So yeah, that's it. Thanks everybody. Y'all awesome. Sprinkles.
All right. All right. So there we have it. This was a good conversation, everyone. I didn't agree with everyone, but it was a good conversation. And as always, I respect everyone's opinion. So on that note, if you guys want to check out Michael Key's show, I will be the host on that one. I chose the topic voter fraud. So that's what we're going to be talking about over at Michael Key's in about an hour and a half. So other than that, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I hope to see you tomorrow, and go where the wind takes you. Bye. Thank you for everyone coming on the panel, and Juju and Frankie, and I do believe our girl. Thank you for your gifts, and everyone. Thank you for liking the show. I appreciate it. Thank you, Brina. One of these days, girl, because you have a lot of great comments. So one of these days, when you can, jump on and take the mic.
Funny,
Jill, I don't know what I'm gonna do with you.
Come on. This ain't got no cussing in it today. This music ain't got no type of cussing in it. This is crazy.
Brina, you're gonna have to come and take the mic just so I can do something with Jill. Not something. I mean something with Jill, because he is. Yeah.
I'm just saying, you can't get one curse word.
Okay, the music's ending. Chill. Okay, everybody. Okay, yeah. Okay, peace out. Bye.